Peyton Manning's worst season was the season they won the Super Bowl. They won that Super Bowl not because of Peyton Manning. They won it because of the defense. But Peyton Manning coming to the Broncos, what did that do? That put us on a trajectory. That got us going places. That established a winning culture.
Tim
You have an
Tebow
adult.
making it to the divisional round in his
I'll put it
second
like this.
year, didn't
I'll
it?
put it like this. That same defense, but with Tim Tebow at quarterback, you don't win the Super Bowl.
I just keep on taking you, don't love me no more.
What is good, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new edition of El Boogie and the Bell. El Boogie, how are we doing today?
Phew, man, I'm trying to get my bearings about myself. It's been crazy. We got our Super Bowl matchup set up for next week. We just saw a Blockbuster Trade craziness happen in the NBA last night.
I forgot to talk about that in our pregame show. We're definitely going to talk about that today.
Utter madness. But yeah, I'm just trying to get some stability about myself because the world been shaking up, man.
It's unbelievable. All right, let's get right into it. We're actually going to switch up the format of the show a little bit today. Today, we are going to introduce El Boogie and the Bell's debates. Now, this was a new idea for me as of like 5 minutes ago, and El Boogie was game. And we even came up with a theory topic to talk about, and we decided to go with it. So today, we will be talking about who had the bigger impact for the Denver Broncos, Tim Tebow or Peyton Manning. Now, I'm the Bell, so of course I'm going to have the crazier take, and I'm going to stand behind Tim Tebow, and El Boogie will be standing behind Peyton Manning. Yes, us two brothers will be standing behind these white men, speaking for their $1 million careers. But nonetheless, El Boogie, the ball is in your court. Why did Peyton Manning have a bigger impact for the Denver Broncos than Tim Tebow?
All right, so Peyton Manning, my first point. Tim Tebow, he was the Broncos quarterback. He was our quarterback for 2 seasons, 2010, 2011. In 2012, the Broncos had an opportunity to go get Peyton Manning, who had just come off of a major neck surgery, questioned if he could play, and they were like, you know what? Those odds are better than sticking with Tim Tebow. And so that's number one. Number two, I mean, Peyton Manning, he had, out of his 4 seasons, 3 of his seasons were stellar. 2 of his seasons offensively were historic. That 2013 season, 2012 and 2014 season. That first one, where he threw for 5,400 yards, broke the NFL single-season passing record. That record hasn't been broken. The season has expanded to 17 games. We have quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. None of them have broken that record with an extra game still. The Broncos were America's team for a couple years. We dethroned the Dallas Cowboys and became America's team. 2 Super Bowl appearances. Granted, one was a pretty bad blowout. It really was, but the Legion of Boom got us. But 1 Super Bowl victory. So in 4 years, 1 Super Bowl ring, an MVP level season, historic level season from Peyton Manning. Nothing that Tim Tebow did compares to that. Absolutely nothing.
Okay, so let's talk about how all that doesn't matter compared to Tim Tebow's reign as the Broncos quarterback. And before I get into stats, let's just keep it a G. Nobody in Denver was for sure about Peyton Manning when he took Tebow's spot. The excitement and energy that we got out of that Tebow was one of the greatest runs we've ever seen in sports history. I'm going to say that again. That 2011 season was one of the greatest runs in quarterback history. And I'm talking about where we beat they beat the Steelers in the playoffs, right? To advance to what team was that again? Oh yeah, the Patriots, the greatest dynasty to ever exist up to date. Tim Tebow, in 14 games playing, and let's all remember, the season before he had to take up for the rest of the season because we had a failing, I believe Kyle Orton was the quarterback then. in 14 games, 122 carries as a quarterback, 660 yards. This is madness. And remember, we're talking about a quarterback. That's your backup. Great. That's like the dudes in the Lions. They're the numbers he's putting up in many rushes. Six passing touchdowns. Look, his rushing comes up before his passing. Tim Tebow was the most athletic quarterback in Broncos history. Anyways, well, hold on. Continue with his stats. We had 126 attempts. 271 attempts for 126 completions. And we're just talking about 2011 because we don't really need to talk about any other season he played. And he had 1,729 yards passing, 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Now, in theory, that's not a bad season for a sophomore quarterback. And I'm serious when I say that. Is that a bad sophomore year for a dual threat quarterback?
It's a terrible sophomore year, and here's why. That's a 46% completion rating. You know who else did that? Anthony Richardson. He did that this season and got benched. Okay. The Broncos just didn't have a veteran sitting on the bench to replace him.
But the ability for Tebow to be able to come through and win these games, because we're not talking about a losing season. We're talking about a tie. I believe they were 8-8, made it to the playoffs, and surpassed that. Made it to the second round. So the reason I would say Tim Tebow is the stats don't look that great, but the impact. Remember what the question was at the beginning. Who had a greater impact on the Denver Broncos franchise? I remember a city and a town that were Tebowing. I remember T-shirts. I remember revenue. I remember people going to church. People started their journey in Christianity because of Tebowing. I remember even us for your birthday, L Boogie. We made our own collage of Tebowing pictures with our flip phones. Tim Tebow was one of the biggest sensations. Tim Tebow owns one of the craziest Skip Bayless takes till this day, that Tebow would be better quarterback than I believe Tom Brady. I think Tim Tebow did not get his fair chance because they went with the veteran who's on a budget deal. But I know Tim Tebow could have came back that next season and did great things as a developing passing quarterback. Because if anybody remembers the end of that season, the middle, that's where most of those rushing yards came from. But the ability to pass in the third and fourth quarter is Tebow's strong suit. And remember, this is when left-handed quarterbacks were looked down upon. He walked so people like Tua could run. We were very down on left-handed quarterbacks before Tebow. Very, very down. And Tebow didn't have a great representation on what a left-handed quarterback to do. But I remember the sensation that Tebow was to the Denver Broncos, that if he would have won that one Super Bowl within the next 4 years, it would have had an even greater impact than Peyton Manning's run.
No. Just no, dog. Okay, listen.
Who was a funner quarterback?
Funner?
Now I'll give
Peyton
did something
Peyton Manning in that 2013 season when he was just dishing touchdowns all over the field. I think they opened up the season against Baltimore, and he threw 5 touchdowns, like just airing it out. That was better than anything that Tim Tebow did. I'll admit, the Tebowing, it was fun. It was a cool time. It was, you know what I mean? It was like,
it was one of the
not the same as like when Cam Newton was dabbing. It's not the same as when Cam Newton was dabbing and everybody was dabbing. It's not exactly the same.
Bigger.
But it's bigger?
It was bigger.
All right, now you're tripping. Now you're really tripping. But we're sticking to the Broncos here. We're sticking to the Broncos here. My answer is still no. In his best season, his only really starting season in the NFL as a quarterback, Tim Tebow's numbers were worse than Peyton Manning's worst season with the Broncos. Peyton Manning, despite being injured, despite only playing 10 games, threw for 2,250. And with a 59% completion rating. 46%? 40? Not even half? Dog, like you can't tell me he was more impactful. And keep in mind this too. Okay, yes, we went to the playoffs and he played probably the best game of his NFL career against the Pittsburgh Steelers, making that throw in overtime to seal it. That was his best NFL game. Yes, fantastic. And they were like, hey, they saw that, went to the divisional round, lost. They saw that and say, hey, we have a team here. We really have a solid team. What do we need to take us to the next step? And that's why they went and got Peyton Manning. They recognized, hey, we have a really good team. We just need a quarterback who can actually dish it out. And that's exactly what they got. And what happened? Two Super Bowl appearances. You mentioned, Tim Tebow had to go against Brady in that divisional and lost. Guess what we did? We beat Brady twice to make it to the Super Bowl. So there's not an argument just because he was athletic.
How about this? So Tim Tebow had, I believe, a greater impact as far as the motion that was set. I think Peyton Manning did amazing things, right? That the 50 touchdown season, I think it was 50, right? Unbelievable. Like literally probably will not be done, right? We have
55
30 for 30, and it's just impossible to get 60 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. You said how many was it?
55.
Damn. I think that Tim Tebow, I remember the feeling of being a child, and I've experienced both of these moments in history where I remember Tim Tebow not getting his fair chance after to come back and do something even more great. And of course, his career didn't pan out because he got labeled that bad and obviously wasn't as productive for the New York Jets. But I know every true Bronco fan knows in their heart the feeling they had when Tebow stepped on the field. Win, lose, draw, no draws. But at the end of the game, when he got in the Tebowing stance, if you remember that time period, if you remember exactly what I'm talking about, you remember what impact he had to the city of Denver, Colorado, the city and state, Denver, Colorado. So I'm gonna leave it there.
At the time, that was the biggest, best Denver Broncos season we had in a very long time.
Absolutely.
But if Tim Tebow got us to the second floor, Peyton Manning took us to the ceiling. you know what I mean? Like
the luxury of the C-suite executive.
It's the same thing. Actually, it's very similar to what happened in Tampa Bay. You have Jameis Winston, who went 30 for 30, led the league in passing and also interceptions. And what happens the next year? The team moves off of him, gets Tom Brady, and wins a Super Bowl. It's like the same thing. They said, hey, we have a really good team. We just need to get better at quarterback.
Look, man, all I'm saying is impact, money, revenue, success.
2 Super Bowls? You can't compare one piss-poor season to 2 Super Bowls.
A legend like Peyton Manning getting smacked in the Super Bowl and couldn't do anything offensively against the second greatest. Because we could do that. We could do that debate later. The Legion of Boom versus No Fly Zone. But the second greatest, I would say, is the Legion of Boom. How good did that make? How much did that impact Denver, Colorado? How much did Peyton impact in his Super Bowl winning season with the Broncos?
Listen,
is it impactful his Super Bowl winning game? I mean, his Super Bowl winning season.
I'll put it like this. Peyton Manning's worst season was the season they won the Super Bowl. They won that Super Bowl not because of Peyton Manning. They won it because of the defense. But Peyton Manning coming to the Broncos, what did that do? That put us on a trajectory. That got us going places. That established a winning culture.
You have making it to the divisional round in his
I'll put it like this. That same defense, but with Tim Tebow at quarterback, you don't win the Super Bowl. You don't.
Oh, you're crazy.
No, you're crazy. Because do you think
he would have ran over it? I mean, he would have got smacked by
Do you not
remember
that AFC championship? Do you not remember that AFC championship against the Patriots where it went into overtime? Do you think Tebow's beating Tom Brady and the Patriots in overtime?
I think he would have had another year to develop to be able to play in those pressure games.
Bro, don't give me the develop because, we moved off him. What did he do after?
Tebow get in the NFL?
What did he do after that? Okay, fine. He had plenty of time to develop, and he did nothing.
Look at the past 10 Jets quarterbacks. Look at the Jets as a program. That is what ended Tebow's career. Then we're talking about. I think that they still had Rex Ryan during that time era. So
my thing is his career ended after that one season with the Jets. You know why? Because teams didn't even value him enough to keep him on as a backup.
No, he made it to the Patriots, I think. He was a Patriots practice squad, right?
practice squad. They didn't want to keep him as a
We're talking about
backup
impact.
quarterback. Even Sam Darnold, who stunk it up at the Jets, got bounced around as a backup. Guess what? They thought, hey, he's still good enough to be a backup. They didn't say that about Tim Tebow.
We're going too far away from the impact for the Broncos. I don't think that Peyton Manning was impactful in his final season. I think in his first season, it was a wow. I think that was the season where they lost to the Ravens in the playoffs. And then that next season was one of the greatest seasons, probably the greatest season we've ever seen out of a quarterback. Probably the greatest season we'll ever see out of a quarterback for the years to come. But he still had a Super Bowl loss. I think Tebow losing to that Patriots team was very, very, not fair to say, oh, well, if he would have made it to the Super Bowl, he would have more impact. The impact he had just from that one play against the Steelers and everything he did to bring that Broncos team to the playoffs, I think was more impactful for the Denver Broncos and the city of Denver than Peyton Manning. I'll let you give your last sentence and we're going to move on.
I don't know what you're smoking, man, but let me get some. That's some good stuff. That's some good stuff, dog.
All right, man. Well, yes, that is going to be the new segment on El Boogie and the Bell. We are going to start the show off with a debate through history. We are coming up on our cold season as soon as the basketball season. Well, we still got a lot of basketball left, but hope you guys tune in more into that. But anyways, we got business to talk about. El Boogie, it is Super Bowl week. Tomorrow is Monday, and these guys have to practice for 5. They get 5 to 6, well, because of 6 days, 6 more chances to practice to potentially be Super Bowl. What are we on? I really don't know. They haven't really
59.
Super Bowl 59. To be the Super Bowl 59, we have the Philadelphia Eagles versus Kansas City. El Boogie, how do you feel? Let's start with these team seasons before we go into who we think is going to win. How do you feel about these teams up until this point?
I mean, I feel like the Eagles, I think they've done, this is one of those seasons where they were a good team and they did exactly what they were supposed to. After last year and the disappointing end that it had, even though that team was clearly talented, coming back more focused with a little less noise this year, I think has benefited that team well. They've done great. The Saquon acquisition, best free agent signing of the offseason. Hands down. Saquon has been an offensive player of the year, MVP candidate with how he's been able to impact that offense. I think having him also takes a lot of pressure off of Jalen Hurts, which has allowed him to also play really good football. You know, that offense is running good, and that defense, their secondary was a real problem last year. And what did they do? They hit on 2 great defensive backs with Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. They did what they were supposed to do. They were a good team that had some issues, made improvements, and now they've just had a great season. And here they are at the pinnacle, 1 game away from history. So they've been great. Chiefs have not looked like the Chiefs of old. They haven't, except in the sense that they keep winning. They're a good team. They are a good team overall. But you can't tell me that offense looks the same. Patrick Mahomes, when he used to throw for 300, 400 yards a game, airing it out to Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, the offense isn't the same, but the offense still produces. Their defense, this year, last year, has really shown up and really balled out. They have a great defense and just honestly a good culture. Like, I think winning is sewn into that organization to the point where, I mean, you saw it in the championship game. Juju Smith-Schuster, who signed with the Patriots in the offseason, did terrible with the Patriots. They release him. Kansas City picks him up, and he had 2 big catches in the game on Sunday. Like, that culture is built to win. That team is built to win. They're going to be the toughest out, for the next, I don't know, at least 3 years. They're going to be the toughest team to eliminate and to beat.
Okay. So, with that being said, I'll start with the Chiefs because I strongly disagree with you. Now, the Chiefs of last year, as far as regular season, I agree with you. The Chiefs in the playoffs look like the Chiefs to me. I expect them to be scoring a little bit less, but the calls the play and the amazing plays made by Patrick Mahomes. And unfortunately, I got to take Isaiah Pacheco out this year. That's who I would say isn't looking like the Chiefs of last year. You got Kareem Hunt stepping in. I think that the Chiefs, Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt stepping into that main role as a running back, and Patrick Mahomes look better than ever. I think it is looking dominant. It is looking good. I never feel like they're going to lose the game knowing that they get a little extra help, if you know what I mean. The Chiefs are looking like they're going to win this Super Bowl. Now, that's not who I'm going for, but up to this season, up to this point, the Chiefs have completely made a 180 on me. I thought that they were going to probably struggle against the Bills. I knew they were going to beat the Texans. I don't like the way they won against the Texans because the Texans weren't playing a bad game. The Chiefs had a little extra on their side and a little bit of Mahomes magic. Up to this point, the Chiefs look amazing. In the past 3 weeks, I guess that having that first week off really helped them like set in stone and get into that championship mode. Because where it has looked scary a bunch this season, I don't know. I think that they always were going to win that Bills game. Like they were always ahead of the Bills. Like it got close and scary at some points, but there's no point where I was thinking like Chiefs are not going to win this game. So before I give the take on what they're going to do, the Eagles. I think the Eagles had a lot of awkward things happen this year. Like, unfortunately, their quarterback got a concussion. We had you remember everybody was tripping with their coach because of play calling, or what was it? Like the way he was responding to media. You remember we went through that little stint?
He had like a thing when he was like yelling at the fans or said something crazy about the fans in an interview like early in the season.
And a coach that has now made it to the Super Bowl. At one point, people were begging for him to get fired or he's not going to be here next year. I'm like, look how that worked out. Honestly, I just saw the Eagles get better throughout the year. I remember they had like a scary game with they either lost or had a scary game with the Saints. Oh yeah, 15-12. I remember like that was a time period where we didn't know. That was really early in the season. They just progressed throughout the year, and the number one thing with them is that goddamn person in the backfield, and that's Saquon Barkley. That is the NFL MVP. He is the most valuable player in the league right now. His stats might not show up, which they do, compared to the other guys who are in the shoo-in. That is the NFL MVP. For a man to take all the responsibility, make all the biggest plays of this playoffs was Saquon Barkley. Mahomes did some cool magic stuff, but, I mean, he took it for 60 on play one. Like, how do you even mentally get through the rest of the football game? And I only expect him to do the same next week. I only expect him to play at an even higher level. I think he's playing free. He's playing fun. He had a crazy game in a snow game. I think he's been through it all, and I think he is not looking down on the Chiefs, but he's looking like you guys aren't ready for me. That is the player of these playoffs. That is the finals MVP. That is the Super Bowl MVP, regardless of how his production in the Super Bowl. I really hope he gets that trophy, and I really hope that he gets this Super Bowl. But I'm going to give it to you first, El Boogie. Who do you think is going to win, Chiefs or Eagles?
Man, I feel like this might be a hot take. I really do think this might be a hot take, but I think the Eagles have it.
I think so too.
I think the Eagles have it just because what I saw when the Chiefs played the Bills. Again, great game for the Chiefs. But one thing I noticed was when they started giving the ball to James Cook and he started running downhill, that offense was moving and there wasn't much that the Chiefs could do to stop it. And for some reason, the Bills, towards the end of the game in that fourth quarter, they stopped running the ball, even though it was working. That showed me right there, like, all right, you can run on the Chiefs. And if you have a good running back, you can move the ball down the field. And I think that's what I think that's what Philly's gonna do. You have Saquon, you have Jalen Hurts, who's a capable runner too. They're gonna run down the field, and when that offense gets running and starts setting up play action, then you start incorporating Devontae Smith, AJ Brown. I think this is going to be a very similar game to the last time these two teams played in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, where it was like a 35-38 ball game. I just think the end result's going to be different. I think the Eagles, I think their ability to run the ball consistently, I think that's going to wear down the Chiefs. And I think I don't know. Something about it. I know I shouldn't bet against Patrick Mahomes and whatever magic they do, but I'm thinking it's the Eagles.
I think the Eagles are going to establish a stronger run game. I think they go for 250 yards as a team rushing. Um, the only way that they don't get past, they're going to get past the Chiefs front line. So you want to talk about your safeties and DBs having a rough day. They're going to have to get in there. They're going to have to get in there, and they're going to have to, every hip drill that you have this week should be very well focused on. Is he going to break? Because you don't win if Jalen Hurts breaks. Like if he breaks a couple times, it's amazing. It's great. He might even go for 2 scores. Let's say he breaks 2 times and score. You don't win this football game unless Saquon Barkley breaks for a 20, a 40, a 60 for a touchdown. That is a strategy that only a superhuman can make happen. And I do think he's the superhuman to do it. That is the only way that the Eagles win to me, because they're so reliant. They're not relying on it. They have had so much success with Saquon Barkley taking pressure off of every other player on offense, which is weird. It's unusual for a running back. Like, your running back's supposed to be able to get you 4, 5, 7. But when you're starting to expect this amazing superhuman to get at least a 30 or 60 to completely swing the game and let them know, like, oh yeah, guess what? We could hand it off to him. We could let our quarterback run, or sadly, the one you forgot about, we're probably going to throw it in the air. I think that Saquon Barkley having big plays and big moments is literally going to shut the Chiefs down, and could even potentially make it a 2-score Super Bowl, because you're not going to want it too close at the end of the game. Not this year. Not with Taylor Swift in the stands. Not with the referees on the field. Not with the Mahomes magic. You're not going to want it too close. I could see them winning this Super Bowl by 10 points if Saquon Barkley could completely change the swings of this game. If he is getting 30 and 60 yards, that makes the crowd go nuts. That makes his teammates feel confident. And, oh, yeah, don't forget that we do have a pass game. Don't forget that our quarterback can run as well. If he gets shut down, I think we know what happens, though, Boogie. I think we know what happens. And I'm talking about, you could shut him down. He's still going to get 7 yards. But they need those 30s, those 20s, those 60s, those breaks, those hurtling backwards. They're gonna need it this game, and if they don't get it, they're gonna get outpaced by by the Chiefs and the Chiefs. If the Chiefs do win, I got them winning by 3 or by 1 score, like end of the game, 1 score. It's overtime, something like that.
Yeah, I think with this one, I think leaning on Saquon, and I think the worst part about it is I think the Chiefs know that the Eagles need to lean on Saquon. Like, they know that, because if you put too much on Jalen Hurts and you ask him to go throw the ball 30 times, 35 times, you're not going to get the result you want. So I think that makes the job almost easier for the Chiefs, because they know, hey, we just got to stop Saquon. And if they start throwing the ball, it's probably going to be in our favor. So I think that helps. And I mean, you have a legendary coach in Andy Reid, so that offense is going to be humming. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to see the Chiefs make history, to win another Super Bowl, to three-peat. There's going to be obviously the Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes comparison again. What do you think? If Patrick goes and wins a third one, or not a third one, wins 3 in a row, 4 Super Bowls and 5 appearances, where do you think that stacks up against Brady? How far away from Brady do you think he is?
So what's scary about Patrick Mahomes is that was a little bit of an unregular season for him. So going back to the Tebow and going back to Peyton Manning, it's like, how much credit do you give for each Super Bowl? And I'm not saying that Tom Brady had perfect seasons every single Super Bowl win compared to when they lost, but he's been there 9 times. It was 9 or 10.
I think it was 9.
9 times, 1-7. So it's still far.
Or no, he went to 10. He went because he only lost
7.
Yeah.
He went 10 times. He went 10 times. Yeah, you got a lot of work to do. A 3-peat's awesome. I just think that 5 or 6 Super Bowls helps, right? Jordan 6, Kobe 5, Shaq 4. He's right there with Shaq. And it's dope to be with Shaq, because Shaq was a phenom. Shaq was unstoppable, but he's not at Kobe or Jordan, which of course people would say Shaq was better than Kobe in their primes, but he still had one more ring. You know what I mean? So now we're playing the ring game, and it was an irregular season. So if it was one of those 55 touchdowns, breaking records, and everything like that on a 3P, and you beat the team that you started your 3P with, oh man, not yet. A little bit of irregular season. We need to see if he's going to be able to make it back to the Super Bowl, because 4 and 7 are two different numbers, and 5 Super Bowl appearances and 10 are two totally different numbers. So I got Tom Brady's going to be way ahead. Is he a better quarterback than Peyton Manning? Is he already a better quarterback than Peyton Manning career-wise? Oh no.
I think you can make that argument. I mean, Peyton had 2 Super Bowls and 3 appearances, but he had 4 or 5 MVPs. Patrick has only had 2, so maybe, but I don't know. It's like, which one do you value more? Do you value Super Bowls more, or do you value MVPs more? Do you value touchdowns? Like, what do you value the most when we talk about overall greatness? I think so far, I think if Patrick wins this one, I think he is number 2.
Yeah,
I think he is number 2.
I think Joe Montana had a chance to do 3P, but he didn't get it.
He didn't get it, no. And honestly, even though Joe Montana, I think, has 5 Super Bowls, I think with this, I think Patrick jumps him.
I haven't studied Joe Montana enough. His name comes up, but it'd just be disrespectful to say, like, oh, I think he already has him. I don't know.
It was a different era, but I mean, he has 5, but he never had stats.
You've heard it since childhood, so you've heard it since 4 years old, Joe Montana. I just know that he's not up there with Brady yet. And it's cool when you make history and everything like that. But 10
appearances is crazy. But Patrick's not even 30 yet.
But it was a irregular season. So what happens when the Kelce start retiring? What happens when who's the kid he blew out his best receivers?
Oh, Rashee Rice?
Yeah, Rashee Rice. We'll see how he comes back. Can Worthy pick up Juju? All these guys are getting older. So it's like,
but I think
how competitive
that
are you in
speaks
a
to it, though,
AFC
is the
West
fact that this was a down year. We acknowledge that the offense and the production isn't the same as in years past, yet they still make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and we'll see. And then how long is Andy Reid going to be with us? I mean, he seems like he's having just a fun time, doesn't he?
I think Andy's easily got another 5 in him. I think he's easily got another 5.
Not yet. I don't give it to him yet. If you're going to give it to him, he's getting closer, then I'll agree with that. But if you're saying he got him, I'll say you're crazy. But
no,
Tim
definitely
has Peyton.
I think he's beaten Peyton. I think if he wins this one, I think he's passed him.
Yeah, no, I think he might be there already if we're just being fair. Just being fair. Like, he had the better players and everything. So it's like, I think Mahomes had better players. Better team, better situation.
We'll see. I mean, there's still a lot to say about Mahomes' career. We'll have to really discuss this in a decade from now, I guess. But
I want to know how the roster bounce back for the next 3 years after having a down season and still potentially winning the Super Bowl. So if they win the Super Bowl, I want to see how they bounce for the next 2 years. I want to know if Kelsey's gone. I want to know who they replace. So when you get into the second half of your career, there's a lot of guys who are in the locker room with Tampa Bay where they're partying and having fun, and Tom Brady's like getting ready to go home and get in the spa. Because it's like, I'm 40, y'all. Like, I'm not, this isn't new to me. This is just my ego telling me I need to keep going because I'm still that good. I think that's where it is. I think not yet.
Not yet, yeah. One thing I am scared of, though, if the Eagles do win this Super Bowl, I think we're going to hear a lot of really ridiculous takes. Like, Jalen Hurts better than Joe Burrow? Jalen Hurts better than Lamar Jackson?
He is.
What?
He's not better than Lamar Jackson. He's better
than Joe Burrow?
He's better than Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, yes.
Josh Allen, yes. Joe Burrow, no, I don't think so.
Be able to command a team? Okay, Joe Burrow made it to the Super Bowl. To be able to command a team the way that he has and the way he fights adversities and the bad positions that people put him in and how badly people talk about him. Have you ever seen Jalen Hurts?
Do we really give credit for adversity when we talk about great quarterbacks?
From Alabama, Absolute. Timothy, the vegan.
We talk about adversity with him?
You're talking about the skinny 7th round pick. Do we give credit to people who have to face adversity? The person that only Bill Belichick could have possibly seen that? Like, why would you even?
Yeah, but we don't. But my thing is, we don't say Tom Brady is better than Peyton Manning because Tom Brady had to go through more adversity. We don't say that. We say, all right, what did you do? What did you produce? That's what we say.
James Harrison and the Ravens twice or once a year. I'm just saying. Peyton Manning, he lost a lot of those games. Tom Brady,
he did. But that's what I'm saying. I don't think adversity is a stat per se.
Okay, but it in the sense of what Jalen Hurts has done for the Eagles, I think is bigger than what Josh Allen or Joe Burrows have done for the Bengals or for the what's it called. I do believe that Jalen Hurts plays at a great level. I do believe last year it wasn't really them; it was the team completely crumbling from their DBs. Like it's just bad. I think that they built a system that's perfect for him, which is team camaraderie. Obviously, they didn't build a defensive system for the Bengals for this year. But if we're talking about over the course of these new generation quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than them, period. And where he's not is passing ability. Guess what he is? He's a dual threat quarterback. We need to give credit to our dual threat quarterbacks who are making it happen, like a Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. But you know why? Because he might not do as fancy of stuff as them, but stand up to Jalen. I've never stood next to him. Look at Jalen Hurts. The dude, that could be a tight end with a couple extra pounds.
Oh no, he's built. He's a built dude. I mean, no, but here's my question: who would do better, Jalen Hurts on the Bengals or Joe Burrow on the Eagles?
Joe Burrow would take away from Saquon Barkley's season this year, and I think they would have had a similar.
How would he?
Because Saquon Barkley was the focal point of this offense to the point where Jalen Hurts.
Okay, but you act like Joe Burrow.
He's on passing.
Just because Joe Burrow
is a commanding quarterback who absolutely needs the ball in the air.
But what about those? What about Joe Mixon, who ran for over 1,000 yards in 3 seasons with Joe Burrow? What about Chase Brown, who was a backup running back?
So, and are you comparing Saquon Barkley to those people?
No, what I'm saying is that Joe Burrow he can be a great passer, a great quarterback, a great commander of an offense, and still have a productive running back. If anything, Joe Burrow, with being able to hand it off to Saquon, that's even more dangerous than any other previous version of Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow demands the ball in the air more than Jalen Hurts.
And I don't know if that's true either.
Jalen Hurts made it to the Super Bowl having that understanding, being somebody who uses his legs a lot. I do not think that Joe Burrow takes this Eagles to the Super Bowl. I believe they have
what?
I do not.
Oh, you're crazy.
You don't think Jalen Hurts think about the psychology of it.
Okay. Here, you lose the read option. But your pass game is so much better. Joe Burrow, you lose the read option.
What happens when people are keen in on your passing? All they got to do is outscore you because you have such a terrible defense.
If they keen on your passing, then you give it to Saquon and he busts it for 60.
It would not have been as successful with a dual threat quarterback. Because look at the Ravens. The Ravens had a successful season because you have a dual threat quarterback, not because of somebody who likes to let the air ball fly and spread.
But my thing is that you can't.
Joe Burrows is not a running quarterback. You get 2 powerhouse running back and quarterback.
You don't need to be a running quarterback. You just need to run when you need to run. You don't need to be a running quarterback to go far.
And that's perfectly fine. I just know that if Joe Burrow was on this team, Saquon's numbers would look a million times different. A million different points. Absolutely. I do not think he has the same season. I do not think they're that reliant on him. And I do believe A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith have a much better season. But
okay, so you're trading your passing yards for rushing yards. Okay.
Exactly, because we've never seen a team rush like this and make it to the Super Bowl. Dual threat quarterback, superstar running back. That combo is what got them there. Oh, and hold on. Let's give some credit to the big dogs. They could have did a great job pass blocking for Joe Burrow this year. But what they did as a run-first team this year, as an offensive line, you would give that up for Joe B?
Here's one thing, though. here's one thing. Yes, we've seen the Eagles and having this strong run game, and this is their second crack
There's
at a
no
Super
tush
Bowl
push.
in 3 years. But I mean, if the Eagles don't win, right?
Right.
Are you sure that's a winning formula? Because what have we seen? A good team like the Ravens, who's run heavy, they didn't make it. Good team like the Bills, who's run heavy, they didn't make it. Eagles, good team that's run heavy. If they lose 2 Super Bowls with that philosophy, then what's your argument? Like, okay, yeah, you'll make it, but you won't win.
Why
Okay,
did Joe Burrow
you'll
lose
make the playoffs, but you won't win the big game.
Why did Joe Burrow lose the Super Bowl?
Not because of a run game.
Because his game was great, but not Luck. What's his name? Matthew Stafford's was better.
Okay, so he got outthrown. Okay, fine. Then what we know is, hey, if you throw the ball well, if you can throw the ball 350 yards, you win the Super Bowl.
If we had a Ravens and Eagles Super Bowl, you're not going to outrun the Eagles.
The issue is we don't, and it hasn't happened.
Wait, you're saying Joe B could be a better quarterback? He's better than Joe B.
I'm saying look at the evidence. Look at the history. We haven't seen run-heavy teams win the Super Bowl.
Then we got to leave it up to the Super Bowl. We'll revisit this one. I got the Eagles
That's what I'm saying, but like
Eagles winning it. If they win the Super Bowl, that dual threat quarterback, that thing that we've been fighting since Cam Newton, and we've been fighting it since Michael Vick, and we've been fighting it Donovan McNabb and all these great quarterbacks, and I'm sure one has won. It's really gonna be put to the test because Patty's passed first, right? They got a strong running core right now, so it's gonna look like a pretty normal team winning the Super Bowl if the Chiefs win. If Saquon goes out there and busts that 30 and busts that 60 for a touchdown, and Jalen Hurts throws for 225 to 270, or let's say 300, it's probably not going to happen, and he also runs for 40 to 100 yards, I don't want to hear nothing about Joe Burrow.
If they do that, then that's just like a perfectly efficient and well balanced offense.
Because Joe Burrow would throw that pick in the Super Bowl.
But my thing is, Saquon having big numbers, Jalen having big rushing numbers, and Jalen throwing 250 plus yards. That's not happening. I can see them running the ball heavy, and then Jalen throws like 130 and a touchdown or 2. But like, anyway, I'm just saying, even if the Eagles win, I'm not gonna be here for the Joe Burrow slander. That's all I'm saying.
And it's not slander to Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is the best quarterback.
It honestly, I mean, you got to think. Look at what we talked about, the discourse. Look at the discourse between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Yes, Josh Allen's a good quarterback, but what can he do? He can't beat Patrick, so he is sub tier. He is not the GOAT. He is not up here, not because he's not a great player, but because he can't beat Patrick. So when you're neck and neck with somebody, it's not this person's good and this person's good. It's this person's better. This guy is better. It's never they're both good. No, this guy, Patrick, better than Josh. And then if Jalen wins, it's going to be like Jalen, better than Joe. And I'm just not here for it.
Jalen's better than Joe. Now, if he wins a Super Bowl, proves the point. But we can revisit that one next week. How about that? Because I would love a Jalen Hurts versus Joe Burrow, especially after a Super Bowl win. Anything that we're excited for the Super Bowl? Are you excited to see Kendrick Lamar?
I'm excited now that he announced scissors with him too.
That's fire. I wonder who's going to get a guest bring out, like the person that's not on the list, but will be there.
I don't know. I could imagine if he brings out Drake.
That'd be a move.
That would be ridiculous. I wouldn't even know what
he says the pedophile word. I think pedophile is the politically correct way to say it. So, do you think he says that and not like us?
Oh, if they do, they not like us. I think he
has no choice. He has to.
I don't know. I don't know if the NFL is gonna allow it though.
I don't think he cares. They might mute his mic.
But you think he's gonna still say it?
And they just say like, "Oh, something happened. We don't know. He got muted for 13 seconds." You know what I mean?
Actually, the question is, do they allow him to say pedophile on the radio? When that song plays on the radio, does he say pedophile?
It's not a like bad
It's not a
word.
swear word. It isn't, but it's kind of the concept of it is, you know.
It is.
But I feel like if he says it on the radio, then he'll say it during the Super Bowl.
That's the only thing about the Super Bowl halftime that it sucks because he's such an impactful artist and he stands for so much greatness than such a silly bar in a line. I'm excited to see how long that song plays for. I'm excited to see if he says that. More or less, I'm excited to see who else from the West he brings out because obviously he's bringing SZA. I want to know if he does bring out any OG, if he brings out Dre, if he, you know what I mean? Because they've been in the Super Bowl. They've been Super Bowl heavy for the past couple of years. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I wonder who he brings out. Wayne was a crazy one. If he did that, I mean, that would solidify where like maybe even where Drake and Lil Wayne stand. It would be really cool to see Lil Wayne still somehow pop out and make it there. And I think that would be something that like all of us are not ready to see and be like, whoa, he did it though. Like, because this was supposed to quote unquote be Lil Wayne's spot, but he did it. Any commercials? Any like super commercial brand deals or anything like that? You remember like one year it was just Budweiser beer? I'm like, that was kind of smart, but probably expensive.
I feel like it's gonna be a bunch of Budweiser.
Really? Is that
I
what
think
it's
so.
been?
Yeah, they have the one with Post Malone and Shane Gillis.
Okay.
That commercial. You know what's funny? I met someone who works on that commercial.
Oh, right.
So that's
I wonder if
random
Kanye
fact.
paid for another one. You remember he had like a
Who?
7-second commercial? Kanye.
Oh,
He spent
and
$1 million
and do what?
so we didn't have a budget for the commercial. And it's just like a video of him with an iPhone talking. So, yeah.
We'll see. But nah, nothing on my radar.
For sure. Alrighty, L Boogie, we gotta talk about the craziest thing before we get out here. We woke up today in a very apparently boring league, and everybody could agree. In the National Basketball Association, some way, somehow, we all woke up, including LeBron James and Luka Dončić, to a Luka Dončić for Anthony Davis trade with supporting pieces. El Boogie, what the hell happened?
I think it's gonna go down as the craziest trade, mid-season trade in NFL history.
NBA.
Because NBA history, sorry. Just because you don't trade the cornerstone piece, like the face of your franchise, while he is in his prime playing age. Luka Dončić is 25 years old. He has another 10 plus years of basketball. He has been the face for years and was planning to be the face for a decade, and you trade him away. That's like if the Bills traded away Josh Allen. It wouldn't make sense. It would be ridiculous. It was so crazy. Everyone thought it was fake. People on Twitter was like, "Oh, it's NBA Centel." Nah, it was ESPN dropping this breaking news. I don't know. And the crazy part is, the Mavericks have come out and said, "Oh, it's because we don't think we think defense is going to win us a championship, so that's why we prioritize defense here." They're saying there's concerns. They were concerned about Luka's health and him being overweight and whatever. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because of the compensation they got. You have Luka Dončić, top 5 player in the NBA, and all you got was essentially Anthony Davis and a first-round pick. Your package from anywhere else would have been so much more extensive. How you only got one first-round pick and Anthony Davis, a 31-year-old, questionable, healthy Anthony Davis, that was all you got? I think the Dallas Mavericks have the fumble of the century.
Well, what do they know? So obviously, Luka has had a lot of issues with the Mavericks. We've had trade talks before. We had unhappiness before.
What trade talks?
You remember
When
last
was
year?
he ever
Unhappy? He was unhappy last year, and they ended up going to the finals.
Bro, but my thing is, no one was ever saying, "Oh, they should shop him." He wasn't expecting this. Nobody saw this coming. So unless there's something that the Mavs know that the public doesn't, this is crazy.
So what did they get the big center? Did the Lakers get that big ass center who plays for the Mavs?
No.
Damn. See, what did the Mavs think? Where it's like, what are we gaining out of this? Or if they really just needed to get Luka the hell out of there. So
The
I feel like they
Mavs,
know something that we don't. Where it's like Luka's like, I don't want to be here. I promise you, I will go back to my country to get away from you guys. Like it sounds that bad. And Luka did say I'm a little blindsided, but it could be that. It could be the 114 million that they're trying to save. That's a bad excuse when you have a top 5 player who took you to the finals last year, and he did not have the greatest supporting cast. He has a declining Kyrie.
but they just made the finals.
It was
They were just in the finals, man. And honestly, what sucks too for Luka, now he can't get that supermax. He was going to be eligible for a $345 million supermax. And honestly, I think the Mavericks saw that was coming, and they're like, all right, are we ready to invest that much money into this guy? And I think they just said no. And the Lakers, I think the Lakers, they didn't make the right move, in my opinion, to win now, but they made the right move for the next half a decade to a decade.
Nope, and they're going
because now, might have lost you. Now they have their face of the franchise when LeBron decides to call it quits.
Yeah. Camera overheated, I guess. But anyways, bro, what the most heartbreaking part about this shit is like, what does did the Lakers get better to you?
No, like I said, they did not do this to win now.
Not.
They didn't do this to win now. They just did this for the future.
I don't even understand what these guys are shopping for. Like, you guys had good Christmases.
I don't get it. But I mean, I think, like I said, the whole world blindsided by this. I don't know what the Lakers are going to look like. I just think the Mavericks messed up here, man. You should have gotten 2 All-Stars and 3 first-round picks for Luka.
Where do we go from here for both of these? Like what?
Well, the Mavs think they're still a contender because they got they got better on defense by a little bit. They still think they're a contender. The Lakers, I don't know what you're doing.
I think you're saying it reverse. I think the Lakers got better, but they should shop LeBron at this point.
I don't think they got better.
No,
who's your big? Who is your capable big on that team now?
We got to remember, we have a new class of athletes too. You got the Houston coming up. You got the OKC coming up. You got all these new guys. Like, what are all of the? And I hate to put Luka in this genre because he was so young when he started in the league. What are we doing with these back half guys? I don't really see what's going on. Like, what are we doing with the LeBrons and the stuff of the world? Just because it's like, what is the goal and the mission for them to acquire Luka? Is it because he will be LeBron when LeBron leaves and he could play younger?
I think that's it. I think they did this for the future.
But the winning strategy, LeBron wasn't really figured out, and it was barely figured out in the bubble. And Anthony Davis was the winning strategy.
But now you're talking the bubble. The bubble was 4 years ago, dog.
I agree. So I'm like, are they just trying to prepare to run the same play? Because coaching staff and even the league has changed. So I'm like, I don't know from an analytical standpoint where they're like, yeah, we want Luka for the next 10 years. Besides probably making him happy on the beach. Does Luka stay?
Honestly, I didn't like. Maybe. That's actually a risk now that I think about it, because he could just not stay there now. He can't get the Supermax. Like, that's just gone. So it's like he can go wherever the hell he wants to now.
Who took the biggest L? Player association, coach, league, the league?
No, the league is good because all this publicity, all this discussion, this is all good for the league. But oh my god! And you know what's crazy? So now the Lakers have Luka under contract for next year, and then after that he has a player option.
I think he'll
So
like.
in theory, you could have traded AD and a first round pick away for a year and a half of Luka.
And no center though. Like you didn't replace AD with like a big and just focus on defense instead of.
Bro,
I don't know though. It's a.
they don't have a capable big. That's why the Lakers aren't winning now. The at least the Mavericks improved defensively. They declined offensively, but they improved defensively. The Lakers, I don't know, because now you have to figure out Luka and LeBron. Now they have to play with each other.
What does Anthony Davis look like in gray, white, and blue, and black, or
I don't know. I'd be so pissed if I was Luka too, because now you know how much he's gonna have to pay so much more in taxes.
Yeah, but these guys are rich.
I mean, but still, I'd be pissed. You're talking millions off of my check. I'd be pissed.
I just want to know who wanted this because I don't feel like the Lakers wanted this, and I feel like the Mavs possibly wanted this, and I want to know why we don't.
I think I think the Lakers had to do this because Dallas's price was so low. Dallas, I just think they were done with Luka. It's crazy to think that they were done with Luka before the Pelicans were done with Zion.
Yeah, Zion. What's happening with that?
That man's been injured. He's not playing back to backs. He
Back was huge.
He's not playing back to backs. But it's crazy to think they moved on from Luka, who just got them to a finals.
Yeah, but is he winning the finals anytime soon?
Nah.
I wish he got traded to the East. I would have loved to see Luka go to the East. It just feels like he's not too far away from a bad situation. It feels like he's very close to a new bad situation, which is not a bad situation when you make it to the finals. It's actually a great thing. It's like, I don't know. I'm took back by it. I want to know what Luka looks like in a Lakers uniform.
Shoot, we're gonna see. Hey, that jersey's about to sell like hotcakes, man. That's 77. That's 77 about to be hot.
I don't know, Bug. I'm not feeling too good about this one. I don't think who wanted this besides the Mavs.
Nobody. Like honestly, like I think genuinely nobody.
I
feel bad for Mavs fans
trying to get 2 points. Like we were cool with the Lakers doing that for the rest of the season. Now we have expectations.
Do we? I have no expectations for the Lakers now.
They got to make it to the championship. They got to make it to not the chip. They got to make it to the conference. Yeah.
They showed you. I think they just showed us that they don't necessarily care about winning this season. I think they just showed. They are thinking about the future moving forward. They do not care.
Well, even if Anthony Davis he did one out. So I'm like, what if
he wanted out? No, who said
Anthony Davis requested a trade?
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Bro, I promise.
Everybody was shook by this. AD didn't request a trade, did he?
I think so.
No way.
Oh man, it's all recent news. Yeah, the news is the thing is too big. It's not showing me like a month.
Nah, he didn't request a trade.
23 plus 77 equals 100. LeBron and Luka coming soon. Hey, I'm excited to see it. I'm gonna watch that first game. I haven't watched a full basketball game all year this year. That will be my first game.
Luka finna score 80 when he goes back to Dallas.
Man, straight chucking threes and all swishes. But L Boogie, we're getting close to that hour, man. It has been an amazing addition to L Boogie and the Bell. We're glad that we added a new segment to the show. I think that kind of helped us with our little debating skills. You know, that kind of kept the blood going as far as the rest of the show. We had a little more debate in us. You feel me? But anyways, I don't take us out. That is L Boogie's job. L Boogie, go ahead and take us out.
Hey, we appreciate y'all tuning in to L Boogie and the Bell. Make sure you check out the full vid on YouTube. Check out the clips on TikTok. Leave a like, leave a comments. Let us know what you agree with, what you disagree with, how crazy A Bell sounds, because he's always sounding crazy. But yeah, we appreciate y'all once again. We make sure y'all tap in with us next week and enjoy the Super Bowl, man.
Peace.